Hey, Paul here with another Bikeskinz pro tip, and here we're working on the R1 Stormtrooper bike, and you can see I've got the side of the tank wrapped and also the complete tail. And as we go towards the front of the bike, you can see there's a few more considerations here because we have three pieces of bodywork that's touching each other, and of course that means you have to plan out a little bit how you're going to do it and be a little bit more accurate, because each one of the graphics that are on each piece have to line up to one another. So one of the questions I get asked is, which piece do you do first? Do you do the upper front piece with the headlight because it's smaller and it's easier and work your way down? Or do you start with the small piece here on the bottom? It's in blue, it's kind of harder to see. Or the big main piece. A lot of people want to wrap smaller pieces just because it's a little bit easier and they want to feel more comfortable wrapping before they jump to the bigger pieces. In my mind, I think it's easier to wrap the larger middle pieces, or normally the main side fairing, first. And the main reason for that is that it's easier to line up graphics. If you install the main side fairing section, you get the Stormtrooper rotated a little bit or twisted. You're not going to get them twisted that much because you have a good amount, 2 or 3 inches of extra material around all the way around the edge. So if you tape it up with masking tape and get your placement right before you start peeling the backing off and applying the wrap to the bodywork, if you get the edges right, and also looking at your preview image, you get that emailed to you when you place an order, so you can see where the Stormtrooper's head is in relation to where these bodywork intersects. So you want to get that pretty close and accurate. So the problem is I see sometimes is people will take and install something like the upper front fairing, and then once you get that twisted a little bit, then the next section also has to be twisted in order to line up to it. So sometimes if you get this section off, which is easy to do because it's a compound radius around the front of the windshield down to the side, if you get that twisted and then you have to get the graphics to match up here at the bottom, sometimes by the time you get to the bottom of the bike around this area, in order to get the graphics to match up, the wrap is actually coming off of the bodywork, so it looks like it doesn't fit. You'll see people who lay tiles in houses and things like that, you'll see them kind of make the same adjustment in how they lay tile. They'll start a row in the middle of the room and work their way out sometimes, and that's because if you start getting off by a certain degree, you only can get off halfway the width of the room. So if you started at one corner and worked your way to the other corner and you were a certain degree off on how straight you were laying your tile, by the time you got to the other end of the room, you could be really, really off, twice as much off as if you started in the middle, if that makes sense. So let's go over here and take a look at the actual wrap. So here's the wrap piece laying on a paint table. So this is the bottom side, or this is the main side frame piece, and it has the upper front piece with the blood smear on it there. You can see that overlap in our videos. We talk about how to line up this overlap, and then you're going to trim the excess away, but still keeping those lined up. So they have 2 or 3 inches of overlap here. Well, let's take this piece again and really try to drive home what I'm talking about. This is a video that's going to be too long for Instagram anyway. So if you started out, this is the wrong way to do it. So if you started out trying to wrap this upper front fairing first, and there's a little bit of the Empire symbol that's in there, you could tape it up and you could get it to where it covers right. You could make sure that you have a good amount of coverage at that little point of the fairing, so you can cover that there, and then you can make sure the wings for the windscreen's covered, and you can make sure it goes over the middle of the bike. So you could look at this and you could say, well, everything matches up right, everything's good to go, I'll just install it right there. But by the time you get the Stormtrooper main side piece to go on there, this could be twisted a little bit that way, or it could be an inch forward or an inch back. Those small variations of inaccuracies, how you have it set up there, those small twists and turns, by the time you got to the bottom fairing, could really add up. So just a turn that much, just an inch worth of twist here or there, could add up to 6 inches down here, and then before you know it, you don't have enough area to be covered, while also trying to make it match up down here at the bottom. So if you try to make your graphics match up to whatever it was twisted, you can get into a situation where basically the next thing that you may have to do would just be reorder some sections of wraps, and we've done that before too for customers, kind of helping them out if they get it twisted. And you can recover from it most of the time with a new piece. You would just kind of change how the graphics are lined up, and it's a process, but it can be done. So I know that's kind of a weird concept to think about and really understand, but the main thing you need to remember is go for the big middle side fairing piece first, then do the bottom side fairing, and do the upper front fairing after you have that main side fairing on.